Welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I'm Taylor, and this is another subscriber video for 2755 and 2855 subscribers. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I sound angry and mad. This is amazing. You all are so amazing. Thank you so much. Oh, it's just, it's so wonderful. So thank you. Oh, it's unspeakable how, not unspeakable, it sounds bad. It's hard to explain how amazing it is. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And you know the drill by now. We are going to be giving away, you get a card game, you get a card game, you get a card game for hitting the subscriber count. And to help us on our giveaway journey today, we are going to give away 2 copies of the brand new Shopkoff art deck by none other than the amazing, wonderful, magnificent Sai Beppu. As you can see in the bottom there, this is the Little Dog, which is an imprint of New Mill, as a hiccup. This is going to be sent by Daniel, who also actually sent the games we're covering today. Ooh, a little sneak peek. So if you would like a copy sent by Daniel from the new Little Dog imprint, put in the comments, I don't know, I don't never think, guess a number. I'm thinking of a number, guess a number. And it's not gonna be 5. Don't try to be slick like that. Don't try to play me. I know some people have caught on at this point. It is not going to be 5. So you gotta, I'm playing hard to get. So yes, put in a number down below. Maybe it's your favorite number, maybe that'll work. And the top 2 people closest are going to get a copy of Shopkoff. This is a traditional German game designed for exactly 4 players. And it uses, as you can see, I pulled some cards out here, the wonderful art of Sai Beppu. She did this wonderful, wonderful job with, you know, the card rings on the sides and some wonderful suits and some font. And oh, look at that. Just the art is so great. Especially like the old school suits, like the leaf and the acorn here. It's wonderful. She did an amazing job. So if you would like a copy, put in a number. Put in a number. Take a number, please. And again, don't try to guess 5. I'm wise. I am too wise to that little trick. So, in addition to Daniel sending out those copies, he also sent me copies of New Mill's new pre-orders, which I think I have a link in the description. And again, it triggered in my brain when I said a pre-order link in the description. This is an incredibly biased video. Pause now if you don't want to be covered in salt. Or I don't know what that means. If you want to ever watch any more of this video, please know this is incredibly biased. Not only because Daniel sent me these games and sent me 2 copies of Shopkoff to give away to subscribers on the channel, but also because the designers of these games, Daniel Kennel and Carol LeGros, they are friends. This whole thing is a sham. I've lamented the fact, jokingly, that as you are in this industry longer, you just start meeting amazing people and talking about their games, and they send you games, and it's just a wonderful kind of cycle. But it leads to moments like this, where now I am covering games by people I consider friends, and obvious bias here. In fact, I watched a recent video by Tom Vassell, who was talking about the possible pitfalls, something involving a pit, where as a reviewer, you just happen to be gaining relationships, meeting people in the industry who, like right now, would possibly send you your game. So, huge bias. Hope that is clear. This might be one of the saltiest, take with a grain of salt, saltiest has a different term, take with a grain of salt videos ever. So, with that said, we are going to be covering the 6 of 8, which, covering that hook first, this might be one of the most thematic trick takers ever. Again, I'm biased, But this is about the 6 wives of Henry VIII. I was in early playtests of this game, even. So, again, how can I remove bias? But hopefully at this point, now that I've said it a million times, you can understand. The game, though, the hook, it can be played 3 players or 4 players. I'll probably be highlighting a lot of the talks on 4 players because these both games are played at 4 players at teams. And Shafkoff also plays 4 players. So this is kind of like a 4-player theme here that I didn't really expect. But this is at 4. You play on teams, right? But going with the theme, you have the suits of the 6 wives. And I don't want to spoil alert history, left being Henry's wife at a certain point. There's a timeline of their reign, let's say, and they are suits in the game. And so as their reign leaves, as they go upstate England, they are not Trump anymore. So the suit is Trump while it's in power, and then as it goes, the new wife suit is in power. And so these are all suits in your hand, right? So you can know when a card is going to be Trump, when it's going to be really strong, and you're trying to angle that, trying to win the most points. There's also a Church of England power in the game where you can just do some I want to do this right away, which is really, really cool. I'll explain it all in the game. Wonderful theme, wonderful stuff. That's the hook to 6 of 8. Gnaughty Gnomes by DJ. Oh, the wonderful DJ. This is a 4-player Mayfollow trick-taking game, fixed partnerships, where you are interacting with a board in such interesting ways. DJ does a wonderful job, I really should cover a lot of his games, at integrating trick-taking card play, a lot of Mayfollow stuff, with a board, with kind of abstract aspects of a board, like kind of where you put your pieces where, and kind of board maneuverability, and kind of taking up certain spots. Really, really interesting stuff. Again, watch the how to play and judge for yourself. But I cannot wait to show you these games. That is it. Huh. Why did I feel I have something else to say? Oh, besides my reoccurring thank yous. Yeah, thank you. That's what was on my mind. I was like, make sure to say thank you. I hope I've said it. I probably said bias and thank you so much in this intro, you are sick of it. But seriously, thank you so much. It means the absolute world. So, with that said, put a number in the comments. We'll send you some games. And please watch for the wonderful 6 of 8 in Gnaughty Gnomes. See ya. The deck in Gnaughty Gnomes is made up of 4 suits numbered 1 through 8. There's also X cards that are going to be in play, and they can be any number 1 through 8. Here we have a game of Gnaughty Gnomes set up for the only 4 players. So players are going to sit across from each other. So Squirtle and the Frog here are on a team. They're going to be blue. And the lions are going to be gray. So each team is going to get 8 discs of their own color. And then each player is going to get shuffled and dealt out equally, 8 cards each from the deck. You're going to remove the X cards. Those are going to be shuffled separately. And then players are each going to get a random X card. So each player is going to have 9 cards. Next, you're going to take the white mushroom space, you're going to put it in the center here, and then you're going to build the board. So these are actually all tiles that you're going to flip. They all have the same back, and you're going to shuffle and then deal them out into a map in this shape. You're just going to want to make sure that not all the colors are clumped. If any one color is adjacent, like it's all clumped, like if it were looked like this right here, you just have to fix it so it doesn't look like it. Once you have the random board set up, you're also going to randomize these tokens over here. So the 5, 4, 3, 2 VP is also going to be random. These are corresponding to the mushrooms over here, and I'll explain that for the scoring. A game of Gnaughty Gnomes is just one hand. You're actually even only going to play 8 of the 9 cards in your hand. So it's an 8-trick game. And how it works is players are going to be playing a Mayfollow game, and they're on a team with the partners. You're going to be scoring when you win a trick, you lower score point, and then you're also going to be scoring after you place a gnome. How it works is players are always going to be placing a gnome. Where they can place them depends on whether they're first, second, third, or fourth in the trick. Let's jump into the first trick here just to show off how the game plays. Let's say it was Lion's lead first, and they decide to play a 2 in this purple suit. Coming clockwise to Squirrel here, they can play whatever they want. Maybe they want to play a low card for certain reasons, so they're going to play a 2 in the black suit. Maybe the other Lion partner wants to actually even play lower, so they're going to play the 1 in the black suit. And then finally, the Frog will play a 3. You are going to evaluate each trick and rank players by how strong of a card they played. As you can see over here, the purple suit is the strongest currently. So since this was the only purple, it is the strongest. We're going to give them the number 1. And if there were multiple purples, it's just the highest number. So then there's no orange. We'll go to the next one, which I think is brown here. They got second. And then black is the last suit. And then the third place goes to the number 2 there, and the fourth place goes to the number 4. Starting with the person who played the strongest card, they are going to place one of their gnomes out onto the board, and how they can place is dictated by what position they're in. First, they're also going to get a point, so this Lion team now has 1 point, and then also they are going to be restricted in how they place. As you can see here, on the 1 place card, this is kind of a visual indication of where the first player in the trick can get place. They can only place on an outer part of a hex that is only touching 1 hex. As you can see later, this person, the second place person, can actually place where it's touching 2 hexes on an edge that touches 2 hexes. We'll get to that in a little bit. So first, the person who gets the strongest is going to get a point, and then they're going to place. So where can they place? Let's move some of these cards around so we can actually see the board here, because this game revolves a lot around the board. So we want to make sure we can see it. The first place winner can place on any edge of a hex that isn't touching any other color. The center is valid. So they can place, here or maybe in here or here. But in addition to being restricted to only touching 1 hex, they also can only touch a hex of the color of one of the cards played into the trick. So looking out here, there wasn't any of this suit played, so they can't play on one of those edges because it wasn't played into the trick. So maybe the Lion really wanted to place on a purple. They're going to place over here, and then they would flip this card, denoting that they've used this card as a color. So now this actually blocks the purple option off from later players picking from that when they place. Speaking of, let's go to number 2 here. So number 2, they are going to grab a token, and now they can place on the edge of any of these 2. The rules have it to be a little bit ambiguous whether you can place on the indice or not, but I believe I've played versions, then also this diagram here is kind of trying to clean it up, where you usually can only place on the edge. So that's how we're going to play. So the 2 and 3 players, because they have the same symbol, can place on the edge of a hex that's touching 2 colors. So they can place here, for example. However, one of the important parts is they have to pick a color that allows them to do it. So say, for example, they really wanted to place here. Well, they can't because there's no orange for them to take, and the only purple that they could have taken was already previously taken. So they can't actually place here at all. They could, if they wanted to, place over here and take one of the blacks, or maybe take this here, or maybe they want to place here. And then they would have to, in this case, take this card because that's purple. And then so they would flip that, and then it would go to the 3rd player. Now the 3rd player is restricted to only choosing black, so they don't have too much of an option there. They're going to take one of theirs, and so now they can place, here, or here, or here, or here. They are going to place here, just for now, and then that uses that one. And then finally, this player up here is going to pick a black as well, and maybe they pick here, just to keep things super simple. Now that the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd have picked, the last one is the 4th one. As you can see here, they're going to lead next, so that's part of their ability. But also, as you can see here, they can place on an indice, super strong. Essentially, they can place on any valid indice, so they can place in the center of the indice touching 3 tiles, which is super good. They can place in the middle. They can place on an edge. They can place out here. They can do kind of whatever they want. Again, though, they're limited to the suit here. So they can technically place anywhere they want around a black or over here, but they can't place, way over here, or they can't place there, for whatever reason they would want to. So for now, let's just say they picked this one here. An important part before you discard the cards, you're going to check the number that was played by the strongest card, and you're going to adjust this trump suit hierarchy. So let's just do this for a slightly more interesting example here. Let's say that the lion actually played a 3 of the purple suit. What you're going to do is, again, you're going to look at the strongest card that won it, and you're going to slide that suit down to the rank that just won it. As you can see, this was a 3, so this mushroom, this purple mushroom, is going to move from the 1-2 range down here to the 4-5 range. I conveniently swapped from using a 3, or from using a 2 to a 3, because as you can see, the 2 was up here in the 1-2 range, so it wouldn't have moved at all. If the player had played an 8, this would actually soar all the way down to the 2 range, and everything else would soar back up. After players have all played into the trick, and after you adjust that, you're going to just discard the cards, and then the player who had the 4 is going to lead next into the trick. This is a nice example to teach this X rule. What the X is you can just choose what number it is. So this is really low. Maybe this player wants to lead again next round, and so maybe they say this is the 1 of the purple. Finishing out the trick, Squirtle plays this 6 black. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to reevaluate. So as you can see up here, the 1 in purple was definitely the lowest. Over here, the orange is the strongest because it's the strongest suit, then this suit, and then as you can see, black. So starting with this player, they are going to take a point. So this blue team gets a point. Now let's show the main way to score in the game. I kind of did an example where it didn't have any scoring just to keep the trick a little bit simple, but now we're going to get to the juicy parts of Gnaughty Gnome. So this frog here, it's time for them to place. As you can see, they have to place on an outer edge, or maybe one of the edges that touches here. If you place on an edge that either ties for a majority or creates a new majority, you score points. So same flow, the person who's placing is going to pick one of the cards that's available. Maybe they pick this black one here, they're going to flip it, and they are going to place right here. So what this does is, as you can see here, they're tied for a majority on this tile specifically. In doing so, they've triggered a scoring. How you score a tile is you're going to look at the suit and the corresponding rank over here. So you see that the black mushroom suit is worth 3 points. If you created a majority, like let's say if instead of just placing that one, let's say the frog just plays this one, so they have a 2-to-1 majority, you get the full points. So that placement right there would win the blue team 3 points. But they didn't just do that, they just placed it there. And when you place and it's a tie, you still score, but you actually get the points cut in half and rounded down. So in this case, the blue team would get 1 point. An important thing about majority is there has to be a competition for it to score. So coming over here, yeah, the black tile is now in a majority to the blue because the blue's all alone, but there's no competition, so that actually doesn't score. So that might be the reason why the frog would place here, because now there is a competition. It's tied, so they don't get the full points, but at least now they're getting some points from that placement. Also a thing to note, only the scoring team scores for majority, so maybe it looked like this later on down the line, and the gray player is going to place, and they place it here. This would not score for anyone, because blue is in majority, there's no tie. It wouldn't score because the gray is doing the placement. I mean, this would score, funny enough, in a new example, because now they created a tie over here. And so they would actually get 3 cut in half, rounded down, so they get 1 point because they're scoring this tile. But this one right here would not score. So let's now rewind a little bit to continue this example. Now it's the second place player, and they can place on a purple or an orange or a kind of red maroon. And since they were second, they can place on an edge on 2 hexes. So they could place here using this orange. What that would do was give them a majority here, so that would give them 3 points, and maybe they're starting to build a little bit of a stronghold over here. They could, if they wanted to, also place over here. And what that would do is use up this card instead, or they could use, the purple instead. And it would be starting to build a strong majority in this purple, but also it would tie on this red, which would be half rounded down, so 2 points over there. Maybe that's what they do, and they decide to flip this red here. Coming to the third player, now they have between purple and orange. They are blue, maybe they want a strong presence right here. They're going to flip the orange, and as you can see, they scored a majority here, so that's 3 full points, and then also they created a tie over here. So they're going to score this, cut in half, so that's 2 more. So that's 5-point move. Finally coming to the last place player who can only place on a purple, but they can place anywhere. Maybe they place on this indices here. And what that does is it would score this, and they're tied, so they're going to get 1 point because 3 cut in half rounded down. But then they have a majority up here. They're going to get 4 points for there, so they also get 5 points. Things are getting spicy. So that's the general flow. Again, you are going to clean up the trick by seeing what won the strongest thing. This was a 2 again, so that doesn't move at all. The 4th place player is going to lead to the next trick. It's going to go on and on and on. You're going to play 8 tricks, so you're going to have an extra card in hand. You don't play all the cards, and that's the game. You're just going to score as you go, winning 1 point for the trick, but also getting a majority of your scoring through the area control and area manipulation. That's how to play Gnaughty Gnomes. If there's a tie, there's a really cool tie break. You know how I said you don't play all the cards in hand? Well, the tie break is you check the final card in hand, and whoever has the strongest card according to the suit hierarchy wins the tie. Here's the deck, kind of, for 6 of 8. I know it kind of looks wildly spread out, and I could have just shown you this. It's probably a little bit clearer. But essentially, 12's the highest, and then the lowest of a rank kind of depends on the suit. So over here, it's 1 through 12, 1 through 12, with some kind of special zeros, which I'll explain. Another 1 to 12, this is 4 to 12, 4 to 12, and then the shortest suit over here is 7 to 12. There are certain points on cards, denoted on the left here. It's like the 8s have some points on them, usually the 10s. There is, again, an easier way I could have showed you this. As you can see, the points on cards, 10s have 1, 8s have 3, but on the yellow, 6s have 2s, both the 4, black and red have 1, and the orange 4 have 2. And then these cards are used in an advanced variant, which I'll explain in a little bit. Here we have the game set up for 4 players. I'll teach the 3-player game later. Also, this is going to be the basic way to play, and I'll explain the advanced variant later, which I highly recommend. I think the advanced variant is crucial, but I'll teach the basic first because it's a little easier to teach. So you're going to shuffle all the cards. You're going to deal them out equally, so 15 cards each at 4 players. And then up here, you will set up the track. So this is going to be the timeline of all the tricks you're about to play, and also what is going to be trump for that current trick. So as you can see, at the start of the hand, the black suit is trump, and then red, then orange for a little bit, then yellow for a very little bit, and then green, then blue. As you can see, this crown here is going to denote what trick we're on, and so after a trick happens, you're just going to move the crown forward. Before the hand starts, players are going to agree on how many hands they want to play. For a short game, you can play 1, or for a full game, you can play a round per player. And then also, at the start of a hand, players are going to exchange 2 cards to their partner back and forth. So maybe the elephants pass those 2, and after they've selected which they want to pass, they can add them to their hand. And then starting with the start player, let's say it's the lion, they lead to the first trick. 6 of 8 is a must-follow game, and you can play whatever you want. Like, you can play trump if it's in trump, or not. You can kind of do whatever you want. And so let's say the lion plays the 7 in trump. The elephant would have to play one of their trump. Maybe they're going to play the 11, and then coming to this player here. So there's no points in the trick, so maybe that player doesn't mind playing that, and then it comes to the other elephant player, and they actually don't have any trump in their hand, so they can play whatever they want. Maybe they're going to play this 8, because that's 3 points, and it's going to their partner here. So the partner is going to collect the trick. In addition to the diamonds collected, players are also going to win 1 point per trick. So it's kind of a point trick and a plain trick game. And then you're going to advance the marker. So now we are on the second trick. And flow like this is going to continue, so let's say that it was lead blue, and maybe this player up here doesn't have blue. They could trump in if they wanted to, and it's always the highest of the lead suit, but if there's trump, trump would win. And flow like this is, again, just going to continue, so this would move to the next trick, and it's going to keep going, Once it transfers over into a new wives realm, that suit of that wife is going to be the new trump. So now black isn't trump anymore, it's just the red that's trump. And that's pretty much it for the basic game. You're just going to play all the way down. Once it gets to the end here, that's the end of the round. Players have played all the cards. You're going to, again, count up a point per trick, and then you're also going to look through your score pile. They didn't get any there, but say this was your score pile. You're going to look through your score pile, and you're going to count up a point per diamond here, and whoever has the most points wins. If you're just playing the short game, if you're playing the full game, you're going to play 3 more hands, and then whoever wins at the end of those hands wins the game. Now let's get to the advanced variant for some spice. Here is the spice. So the advanced variant adds Church of England card, the king card, dun dun dun, and then the zeros, which also are kind of 13s, if you can tell in the center there. So let's first talk about the king card. The king card is supposed to be kind of the strongest card in the game. It is in suit of whatever wife is currently in reign. So if this is what it looked like right now, this would be the strongest card in orange, and then if it moved to over here, it would be the strongest card in green, etc. It can be played to lead a trick, and then it's kind of guaranteed to win. It can be played when it's led trump, because it's considered in the trump suit, or it could be played if, you know, a player is out of the lead suit. You can play whatever you want. You could also play the king. Again, it is the strongest card. It can't be pulled out by must follow. So, for example, if it was green as the trump suit, and a player played green to lead a trick like this, and this player over here's only color, like they didn't have any green, and you know how this is considered in the suit. They don't have to pull it. They don't have to play it. They don't have to have it pulled out. They could, you know, play whatever they want. If they wanted to, they could play it, and it would be, you know, the strongest card. But that's kind of the rules around the king. The other cards we're going to talk about are the zeros. These are the spies, and they work similarly. So let's just use one of them for example here. So as you can see, the zero red. This is part of the red suit, so it must be followed if it is lead red. So if a red is lead and you have this in your hand, you have to play it. If you do have it in your hand with other reds, you can play those instead, but it is part of the red suit. However, it may be played as a black 13 to follow if you want to. So for example, if it was lead black, it could surprise everyone and say, this is actually a black 13 right now, not a red 0. So it could win a trick when players might not be expecting it. And the last special card to explain is the Church of England. This is used on subsequent rounds as kind of like a catch-up mechanism. So how it works is when you play on rounds 2, 3, 4 of the full hand, you're going to put it up here. And how it works is after the hand gets past the black suit and once it gets to the red and on, because thematically that's when the Church of England was formed after the Black Queen's reign. I don't know the name of the Black Queen. I don't know. I'm sorry, Carol. But after this, the losing team now has this as a power. And what they can do is they can use it, pull it down, and nullify any trick they want to. Kind of like Church of England denies this. They can't do it if the king is in a trick. That's the one kind of caveat. But they could do it if maybe the opposite team is winning a trick with a bunch of points. They can nullify it. What happens is this is now out for the hand, just out of the way, and the person who would have won the trick would lead to the next trick, but it's essentially a one-time power for the hand for the losing player. And it always goes to the losing player, so in the third or fourth round, if a certain team is still losing, they'll get it again. If it's tied, no one gets it. How you set up the advanced game is you're going to take the Church of England, put it up here, and then these 3 cards are going to be shuffled into the deck, and then when you shuffle and deal the cards out, you are just going to have 3 cut cards from the deal. How the 3-player works is you're going to use this card here. So someone is going to be on a partner with a dummy hand that's going to be face up on the table, and they're going to be going it solo against 2 other players. So it's kind of like 2v1 and a dummy player. You're going to deal the cards, you know, equally just like normal, but the solo player, instead of like these 2 players who are normally going to pass to, they are going to pass 2 over to the dummy, then look it up, look at their hands, pass 2 back, and then have kind of an open hand for the dummy player. And so then it's, yeah, just solo and a dummy versus 2 partners. At the end of the hand, you're just going to rotate, and whoever has the most points after those 3 rounds where everyone gets to play as the solo with the dummy equally, whoever has the most points wins. And that's how to play 6 of 8. So that is the 6 of 8 and Gnaughty Gnomes. Let's talk about the 6 of 8 first, but first, again, huge bias. Huge bias, like I said at the start, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. That said, echoing the statements that I did say again at the start, easily one of the most thematic trick takers. So interesting to see the trump change and then know how it's going to change as you play the hand. I'm not going to wax too poetic on this because, again, I feel like I'm too close to this a little bit. And I think obviously I'm going to be saying very nice things. So I just want to highlight again some really cool moments to it. besides, you know, the theme and besides the trump. I do love these type of games. You have fixed partnership, but it's also point trick. So I love the phrase of greasing the trick, meaning you can give some points to your partner when you know they're going to win. I love kind of playing off what you know of your partner's hand, possibly what you intuit, what they might have, and trying to be either the person who is strongest on when a certain card is trump, and maybe leaning on them when a different wife is trump or a different suit is trump. I love how the planning of the hand is open. And so you have certain players who really want to use the strongest suit at the end where it's the strongest. But, you know, a lot of people think like that. So maybe those players are going to lead it early. Or maybe they're nervous of someone being short suit and they're kind of lose some of the strongest cards of that suit too early. So there's some fun kind of push and pull and like how different players play the hand. And I think one of my favorite things and actions in a trick-taking game that I've seen is that Church of England catch-up mechanism. The fact that you can have a catch-up mechanism so wonderfully thematic and still so useful and interesting and so frustrating for the other players, it almost feels like, again, I don't know much history on it all, but it feels like those thematic, like, how can they keep getting away with it in moments where they're like, oh wow, he could just use the Church of England to kind of do what he wants. Similar feeling here in a trick-taking game. Love it. Again, when I was covering Fred's earlier game, the war game mixed with trick-taking, I loved to see the names that would show up in that game and then go research them later. Similar to this, I, again, love the fact that games like this can spark people researching in history, learning a little bit more, some of my favorite stuff. So this, I hope you can see if this is for you and interesting. Definitely check it out. I like 4 more than 3. I don't know if that's a consideration at all. I just haven't played 3 that much because when I sit down to play this, in my mind, it is more of a 4-player game. But if that sounds interesting to you, definitely check it out. Gnaughty Gnomes. Gnaughty Gnomes. Oh, DJ is just doing so many wonderful things in this space. The fact that board play, kind of like abstract area control vibes, mixed with trick-taking, especially may follow trick-taking, gives players so much agency, so much space. I mean, speaking of agency and space, like every player also has like an X card, also the loser winning the trick, especially with like a boast or nothing kind of trump moving system, so like your cards are also good. So it's may follow, you have the X for leniency, the card suits move around so they can be strong at certain times. So players' hands are kind of like anything they want. Also you have a partner, so it's like your partner can help do kind of what you might not be able to, or like vice versa, and you have kind of some leniency or flexibility there. And then also the map itself, the fact that if you don't kind of like where some of the majority is happening right now, you can just go to a different spot, kind of like Go or Amazon's or whatever, right? If there's action on the board that's happening that you don't like, kind of like an abstract game, you can just move to a different part of the game board and try to work with it. The really cool thing, stroke of genius, is you only score if you get majority, which is wonderful. It's this moment in game design and when I'm reading the rules or learning a game where you see what the designer's doing without them having to hit you over the head with a rule or have like 10 rules to convey in a certain situation. Is essentially keeping the area control tight. It's making it so the places you battle over, you want to battle over because that's how you score. And also it makes it so you can't just like go over to a side mushroom that no one's really fighting on and go try to get points because no one's over there. So it's not going to get you any points. Really, really cool. The ties is a cool mechanism as well. The fact that you can't rescore, it has to like change majority or tie. Just such an interesting, clean way to handle area control and having players attack each other in area control, and having players naturally through the rules and through the scoring incentives get into a scrum quickly and often and in such interesting ways. So that is Gnaughty Gnomes. I also love that it's one hand and may follow trick taking. I will say though, I think 6 of 8 is a little easier to play just because of maybe the card play and kind of the focus of just getting those point cards and like kind of a straightforward vibe. This is definitely advanced. I think I've put this in front of players who aren't too familiar with trick taking, and they kind of get like a wash kind of AP with choices, and there's an idea of the card play in this game that's like you could shoot yourself in the foot pretty badly. So I think either playing it with people who are well versed in trick taking, or just maybe play a hand or a little bit to, I mean, it is just a one hand game, so you can play a whole game, but playing around with it and trying to emphasize, like, maybe during the play and the teach, just like, you can kind of, like, just feel it out for a round, because, whew, lots of choices, lots of players possibly feeling like they messed up, and then seeing the score at the end and definitely feeling like they messed up. But yeah, this is next step, a lot of choices, a lot of options, in a good way. Just be aware of that, maybe. That is Gnomes and Seis de Ocho. These are available. Check them out. I think it's a wonderful 2-pair from 2 wonderful people, and I'm so excited to see it. It's stuff like this that makes me really excited about trick taking, that you can come up with really cool ideas, and there is hopefully some people interested in trying out such wonderful, wonderful ideas. Thank you so much for watching. And again, thank you so much. 2755, I can't even count anymore. 2855 subscribers. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Y'all are the absolute best, and I will see you later. Bye.